Hello there, people who have access to the internet and who are currently using it to watch this video. My name is Pun Food, or just Pun if you prefer. And I just thought I'd take a moment to admire how you can view so much of Paldea from here. You know, of course we have, out to the west and south, and then you also have, as you make your way over to Medali, you can see all the way back over by, well, Cascarafa, but also where we fought the Sky Titan. Didn't mean to throw that again. You can see up over there. I think that's the Great Crater there. It's honestly kind of a thin wall right there. Thin crater wall, I guess, And then, obviously, the mountain up over here. It's just it's actually beautiful being able to see it like this. And I don't know if you could have done this in a linear Pokemon game. I mean, you could have made it open world in nature with linear objectives, but whatever. Anyway, we're back here on Glaciata Mountain. I figured I'd just come down here to do that, but also, I guess, to fight Greavard, apparently. You know what I could have done? I could have gone back when I was doing Pikmin. I would sometimes have episodes where I wouldn't start with my intro. I could have done that for the view instead of starting with the intro and then going over the view. But, I don't know. It's whatever. And it's probably not a good practice now I'm thinking about, like, content and attention spans. It's like if people are like, he's just looking over the view. He's not even talking, about the episode yet. Anyway, objectives for this episode. We're going to further climb up the mountain. But I came back down here to fight this Dragon Tamer because I do want to fight as many people as possible as I make my way up the mountain. So, what kind of dragon you got for me? Altaria, that's actually pretty bad. We do have our Ice type, and I think it's technically snowing? Yeah, okay. But I'm gonna try for a Rage Fist in hopes... Well, I'm faster, so... Okay, we need to switch. Like, as soon as possible. ASAP. People say the Ice type is kind of bad. I was just talking about the Grass type last episode and how I think it needs to be buffed to be closer to the other starter types. I don't necessarily think Ice is a bad type. I think with the changes to Snow, it's decent. But even just looking at the type chart, it's kind of bad. I will say that, making Ice type even better offensively is not going to fix any Ice types that are defensive in nature. And it's also just going to encourage more Water types running Ice type moves. I think people have heard that, and it is a very true statement, like, when you think about it. That's why if I'm ever going over how I would change the type chart, I don't ever try to add new super effectivenesses for a type. I only really add them if I feel like they're really lacking in stuff to hit, and as long as their coverage isn't widely given out to other Pokemon. Oh yeah, Fury is evolving. So, I've been prioritizing battling specifically so that Furia could use Rage Fist, because you have to use Rage Fist 20 times and then level up in order to evolve Primeape. New evolution this generation. That's why we're using a Gen 1 Pokemon. Primeape evolves into Annihilape. So, through sheer anger, it dies, but still remains tethered to this world through its death. Anyway, and it was alluded to in earlier Pokedex entries. I don't know that it's fully the lore, but it's the lore everyone's kind of accepted, so that's what we're going with. Anyway, it imbues its fists with the power of rage that it kept hidden in its heart. Opponents struck by these imbued fists will be shattered to their core. It is now fighting Ghost type. Very strong. Oh, we also get Shadow Punch, which is great. Rage Fist is good competitively. I don't know if I want to keep using it. I guess we don't really need Thrash for now. I do want to actually look up what's a punching move, because I'm unsure if I want to give my punching glove to Palmot or Annihilape. Anyway, I love the pun of Annihilape, because, you know, and ape, you know, right? You know. Anyway, let's heal up our team. And now, technically, we could put away Annihilape, but I'll keep it out, because fighting's a good type to have for ice, you know, mountain. As soon as any of these guys hit 41, though, I'm probably going to box them. Maybe 42. How is Steve and Roll doing? They're only at 38. Okay. Though, maybe it'd be good to put Lucas up front. Give Lucas some love. Anyway. Glad we got that evolution taken care of. Love the Pokemon. Decently strong. You know, was a competitive threat for a while, from what I, you know, remember / you know, heard about. Anyway. And I do want to take on another trainer. Did I capture a Delibird? No, I didn't. But I will take on this other trainer. Again, trying to get all the battles on the mountain kind of done quickly. As we make our way up to the town. I could also... Oh, Aqua Breed Tauros. Did we encounter a Blaze Breed Tauros before? I think I did that off camera. And other trainer had it. But Aqua Breed and Blaze Breed Tauros. Tauros not only has its Paldean form, but in its Paldean form, it also has Aqua Breed and Blaze Breed. Essentially getting the fire or water type. What? Wait, hold up. Oh, it's a Zoroark in disguise! Okay. That makes sense. Anyway. Oh yeah, Opportunist! We get any buffs that our opponents get, so, you know, I think only if they actively buff themselves in front of us, but, you know, basically we'll be on an even playing field. Which is always fun. Always cool. I don't play on Switch, I play on set, you know. I don't have a ghost counter on me, do I? The best I got is Furia, and that's only have to... Actually, Steve is kind of a ghost counter because of his ability reducing ghost-type damage. So go Steve. And that's why we're bringing Steve to the Ghost Gym. Though I don't know how much we'll be using Steve in the Ghost Gym, so, you know. Let's just go for a basic Rock Slide. Alright. Oh, Rock doesn't resist itself. Yeah, that's another thing, like, weird with the type chart. You know, make Rock resist itself. I know it would actually kind of make Rock worse offensively, which is... Though Ground is already better than Rock offensively, so who cares. Now we can send back in Lucas. Cool. We're already pretty decently into the episode, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up quickly, and we're gonna try to make it to town. But this battle was definitely worthwhile. Alright, Psychic at least resists Psychic. I know I really should wait to talk about all these types and, like, why they're bad. I mean, I already talked about the Rock type. But, like, if I want to just talk about how I changed the type chart, I should probably make that its own video. You know, then again, I haven't really done any, you know, just talking, you know, about proposed theories. One of the things I did want to do, especially as, you know, I get more into YouTube, is I definitely wanted to make a second channel to talk about, like, theories, you know, thought experiment type stuff, you know, theories, thought experiments, you know, not playing games type stuff. Of course, I just haven't gotten around to it because I don't know how I feel about spending, you know, gameplay content is quick and easy to make. I can talk about my thoughts on things without having to give a whole lot of effort into the editing of a decent, you know, a well put together video. It is something that I want to do eventually, you know, maybe, depends on where life takes me. But it's one of those things where gameplay content, just doing a Let's Play, is very easy to do, right? You know, I'm not that big into streaming either, or the idea of streaming. I don't like talking to chat. I like just talking at people more than talking to people and reading what people have to say. You know, if I'm going to read what people have to say, I'd rather just read the comments on a video, rather than talk to people directly in a chat. And I also get upset at people who live stream their first playthrough of a game and then chat ruins something, or they spend so much of the time talking to chat that they miss important details. And talking to chat doesn't make for good, like, re-upload content, you know, like, later down the line. It makes the quality of the, you know, content worse when you're uploading it later to, like, YouTube. I've never understood why people, like, I guess it's good to save your streams and stuff, but I've never been a fan of, you know, talking to chat, especially if you have the intention of uploading to YouTube. You know, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of when streamers talk to chat. You know, maybe it's because I don't usually watch live streams. I watch, you know, the VODs later. But I still think that there's a certain level of, you know, engaging with chat is only somewhat good in the moment. But even in the moment, I don't know how worth it is when you're distracting yourself from the game. You know, supposedly people are coming to watch you play a game. You know, I hate it when they look over at chat in the middle of, like, an important scene or dialogue with a person, you know, and then they're like, you know, and then they miss something and or whatever. Anyway, this is not really the place I thought I'd be talking about that. I guess it's just, you know, it was a conversation I was having, you know, with my friends lately, so it was just like, you know, thought I'd bring it up. Anyway, we're over here at the gym. I'm not quite ready to take it on. I need to do some leveling in between episodes. I do kind of want to know. I guess the guy to ask about the amount of battles isn't in this area. So, okay, that leaves me with a couple options. I guess I haven't done any classes at the academy for a while, so that could be good. You know what? I think we'll do that. Yeah, I think we'll go do some classes at the academy. I think it just makes sense in my mind. I don't know if I fully remember everyone's voices, but considering I voiced them, you know, before, and figured it out before, I can probably voice them and figure it out again. So, let's go take some more classes. I showed you how to get to Manja Nevera. I talked a bit about my views on streaming and talking to chat, you know. Now let's just go learn some game knowledge that I've kind of already gone over. Alright, interested in any classes? I still have to take everything too. Let's start with Home Ec. Home Ec, I think, is one of the least interesting ones, in my opinion. So, let's do Home Ec. Because it's mostly just about sandwiches and picnics, which I think is kind of a part of the game I didn't really engage with much until I really needed to, like, you know, get some of the eggs for the starter Pokemon in order to trade them to a friend. Anyway. Oh, I didn't read his dialogue. I thought it was just like, class has started, but no, that's not. Okay. What's his voice? In our last class. No, that's too formal. In our last class, I believe we talked about the effects you gain from your food on picnics. You can receive meal powers and even restore HP for all the Pokemon in your party. It is a truly convenient means of healing your Pokemon. Unfortunately, as I'm sure you are aware, it is not suited for use in battles, when you cannot make food, or when you wish to restore HP quickly. In times such as those, you should make use of healing items, such as potions, which you can purchase from Pokemarts or the school store. Healing items are immediately effective and can be used anytime that you open your bag. They are, however, consumed after one use. Potions restore 20 HP, Super Burr Potions restore 60 HP, and Hyper Potions restore 120 HP. If you're like me and not using items in battle as well, just using the auto heal button, you don't really need to know that. The pricier the item, the more HP it will restore. Keep in mind how much money you have when you're stocking up on these items. However, unforeseen happenings are an inextricable part of traveling from place to place. Imagine, if you will, the following scenario. You find yourself with injured Pokemon, but you have no potions, you are out of sandwich ingredients, and there are no Pokemon centers nearby. You can just fly to Pokemon centers instantly. Just for your information. Anyway, tell me, Master Punfood, what should you search for when you're in a perilous situation with no way to heal your Pokemon? Items on the ground. I've been picking up all these items, and I definitely have enough of, everything I'll need for the rest of the game, except for maybe vitamins and EXP candy. Perfectly correct, Master Punfood. I see you are well learned in survival techniques. Survival techniques. Go find stuff on the ground. Okay. If you see something shiny on the ground, it is actually an item that has been dropped there. You may be able to find a restorative item, such as an oranberry or a potion. In this way, you can use... Okay. You can use the R button to send out your Pokemon to pick up such items as well. And then there are berries, of course. Berries, by the way, aren't like items from shops. If you let your Pokemon hold one, it will decide on its own when to eat the berry during battle. Letting your Pokemon decide the timing for itself can be quite interesting. At any rate, if you find yourself in need of healing, I suggest you look around for shining items on the ground. If you can't find such items, there are other methods you may employ for healing your... but I see the bell demands that topic wait. Our time together has come to an end for today. I bid you all farewell. I have no idea. I don't remember what he said in his previous class. Alright, we got time. It might be good to just semi-finish up home economics. No, let's just do another class entirely. Alright. I also think that art, in terms of game knowledge, isn't as useful, but just for vibes, I think I'm going to go with Battle Studies. I think Battle Studies is kind of personally. I personally think that math, languages, history, and maybe even art or biology, can't decide which of those two. Those are the worth it ones, but Battle Studies and Home Ec kind of aren't. Anyway, that's not the right voice at all. Another day? Is that what I want to go with? Like, ha, yeah, come on, show me your moves. That kind of voice. I could do that, Another day, I mean, it doesn't really suit. It's still very masculine, but whatever. I mean, I'm a guy, so, I can't really change my voice to be super feminine without it coming across as, very girly. Very, very girly. I'm doing it a bad job. I'm just going to voice the character. I'm going to voice it, and you can just listen. I don't know. Another day, another round of Battle Study. Oh, Sue, let's get right into it. I don't know if I did that right. Anyway, is everyone excited about the treasure hunt? I brought Garganacl in the first slot of my party, and now it's just standing there, just what would you do as a teacher if your student just showed up with an 8-foot tall golem, to your class? What would you do? Anyway, is everyone excited about the treasure hunt? It's always a great adventure. You get to take on gyms, go to new places, and run all over the place with your partner Pokemon. And while you're running around out there, I bet you'll come across some big, shining crystals fairly often as well. These crystals are actually collections of terrestrial energy that seeped up out of the ground. You can check out these crystals to battle Terra Pokemon with your friends or other trainers in a group of 4. We call those battles Terra Raid battles. The Terra Pokemon you'll face off against in Terra Raid battles are crazy tough. They sometimes act differently than regular Pokemon, so you'll need to be on your guard. Luckily, trainers can also use special action in Terra Raid battles. It's called cheering. And there are 3 different cheers you can use. The first cheer is Go All Out. It boosts the attack and special attack of all ally Pokemon. The second is Hang Tough. This one boosts the defense and special defense of all ally Pokemon. And the third, well, let's see if you can guess. This cheer restores HP for all ally Pokemon. What do you think it is? Wham Bam Potion! Or Explosive Healing Wave! Honestly, why didn't they go with Wham Bam Potion? But it's healing up. Heal up. That's right! Maybe I should make you the battle teacher, huh, new kid? The third and final cheer is Heal Up! It's a real powerhouse with the ability to both restore HP and cure stash conditions. You can cheer up to 3 times during a single Terra Raid battle. Also, cheering uses up a turn in battle, so you won't be able to have your Pokemon use any of their moves when you cheer. In conclusion, try everything at your disposal. If nothing seems to be working, try cheering on your allies. Providing support for your team can sometimes open up a new realm of possibilities. Oh man, I was just about to suggest we do some hands-on practice to really drive the point home, but I guess we're out of time. Class is over for now. Take care, you little rascals. Alright. Personally, not a fan of Terra Raid battles. I think it's just like I don't like having at least the highest star Terra Raid battles. I like it when I can just go in by myself and win fairly easily. Not a fan of the higher ones where I have to make specialized Pokemon just to win. But sure. Alright. Guess let's... no, not yet. What class did I want to take? Yeah, let's do art. Let's do those bottom 3. Alright. I forget what Hassel's voice is, but I forgot for the other teachers, so I'm gonna make it up as I go. It's just Hassel is a bit more of an important character, so, you know. Hello, class. No, that's not right. Hello, class. No. Hello, class. Is he kind of old? He's not that old, right? Like he's... Hello, class. It is I, Hassel, yet again. That's almost like Clavel. Like, for Clavel, I'm thinking, Master Pun Food, you know. So Hassel should be more of a... Hello, class. Nope, that's too old man. Hello? Hello? Hello. Hello, class. It is I, Hassel, yet again. In our previous class... No. In our previous class... No. In our previous class, we discussed what Beautyans is, which might have been a little boring for you. That's not quite right either. Like, he's somewhat refined, but also rebellious. It's so hard to get across. So, like, in our previous class, we discussed what beauty is, which might have been a little boring for you. So today, I thought I would mix things up a little, to pique your interest in art. Allow me to introduce our special guest. This is Hassel's voice, right? Like, Clavel is more, Master Pun Food. No, Clavel is more like, Master Pun Food, was it? You know, I terribly apologize. So Hassel's more like, this is Professor Gibble, the assistant lecturer for today. Now then, Professor Gibble, if you would be so kind as to terrestrialize for us. Don't you need, like, a Terra Orb? Don't you have to, like, throw the Terra... whatever. It's a grass type. As some of you may already know, a Pokemon can terrestrialize if you use a Terra Orb. Normally, Professor Gibble would be of the Dragon type, but by terrestrializing, it succeeded in changing its type. So, class, what type do these lovely glistening flowers above Professor Gibble's head represent? The grass type. Excellent, Pun Food. Full marks for you. These beautiful flowers blooming above Professor Gibble's head show that it has now become a grass type. The shape of the Terra Jewel above a Pokemon's head depends on the Pokemon's Terra type. To summarize, if an opponent's Pokemon terrestrializes during battle, observe a Pokemon's Terra Jewel closely to see which type it has become, and choose effective moves accordingly. It is my sincerest hope that today's lecture will help you all achieve beautiful victories. The terrestrial phenomenon is indeed a fascinating and deep subject to discuss. That is it for today, class. Thank you, Professor Gibble, for your help. Clam Gib. Alright. Yeah, art class is mainly centered around terrestrialization. It does have a few other things, but I don't know, that's why it's not that useful. Alright, it's now morning, I guess. Could do languages. We have time for one more class, so let's do biology. Biology with Mr. Jacques? Yeah! Class will begin soon, don't be tardy. Jacques' voice was so hard for me to get narrowed down. Alright. Hello, hello! I hope everyone's ready to learn some new things today. Did you all try using the ZR button to let your Pokemon out as I taught you in our last class? Walking along with your Pokemon lets you see how unique and cute they all are. I'd also highly recommend picnics for when you want to spend some quality time together with the Pokemon in your party. You can get them all around the table to make sandwiches and play. It's really a lot of fun. If you want to learn more about making food, Mr. Sagaro, I think it's Sagaro, Sagaro's class is the best place to go. Now, sometimes while you're enjoying a picnic with your Pokemon, you may something very, very important in the basket next to your table. This very important something is what Pokemon are born from. Let's all say it together. Boxes. Eggs. Phew, you all got it right. The very important something I'm talking about is a Pokemon egg. It's not clear where these eggs come from, but they're probably placed in the basket rather stealthily by the Pokemon at the picnic. Walking around with an egg will help warm it, which allows it to hatch. Eggs won't warm up by sitting in boxes though. You'll need to have them in your party. And here's one more super important thing I'd like you to remember about eggs. Pokemon entrust us with their eggs because they believe in us. So I sure would be happy to see you all being responsible parents for your little Pokemon eggs. Whoops, my most important point came right as the bell rang. Well, see you all next time, I guess. Yep, that tells you that eggs appear in picnics. Cool. Didn't learn a whole lot from that. But speaking of, nobody knows where Pokemon eggs come from. I mean, that's actually kind of true. A lot of people say, well, it works like in the real world, when it doesn't. Because first off, Pokemon eggs only appear when you have a male and female Pokemon in your party, or a Ditto. Right? So, first off, that's kind of defying some logical steps, right? Like, if it was like in the real world, then Pokemon eggs could appear with just a female Pokemon in your party, or, and then you could add a male Pokemon of the same egg group, later, right? Technically. And then there's also the nature of, like, you need to walk around with the egg to hatch it. And there's also the nature that not all Pokemon are species that would normally lay eggs. So I do believe there is some level of Pokemon are magical creatures and potentially have a connection to digital technologies, considering you can digitalize them and put them in stasis in your boxes. Also the fact that eggs, either that or maybe they're not in stasis in the boxes, but rather, eggs just don't hatch for whatever reason. I don't know. Anyway, but I'm tired of people saying, oh, the eggs is just a saying that we don't know where they come from is just a cover-up to not have to explain difficult subjects to children. I mean, it might be, but it's technically not lore-wise. Lore-wise, we really don't know where Pokemon eggs come from. Anyway, I guess we'll fight the Ghost Gym next time. I mean, next time! But for now, my name has been and will be tomorrow, the day after that, and 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 always will be Pun Food. I'm going to do all the training I need to do on my Pokemon in between episodes, so that way when we come back, the gym leader won't have a ghost of a chance.